Hello and welcome back to Tears Don't Fall, the show where each episode we subject one another to a band's entire discography and then present the viewers with our tiered lists of that discography. We then let the audience vote on whose subjective opinion is objectively correct. I'm Connor O'Kane, joined as always by Luke Ashley.
How we doing?
And ich been a while.
It has.
Yeah, I feel like we're saying that between every episode, but we're endeavouring to hit this the first of every month going forward for the foreseeable future, starting with the long-awaited Killswitch Engage episode. Very excited. Now,
Absolutely.
I've got something to prove on this one.
You do.
And you've got something to lose.
Do I? Because I feel like this is a pretty tight fit right here.
After Christmas and New Year's and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, one chance. Just because I spent a week in bed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's fucking. I'm excited to hit this one. So
let's start off.
Killswitch Engage. This was a follow up to Trivium.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned Killswitch Engage in that episode, just being label mates and all that stuff.
Yes.
And it seemed like a pretty fun one to bounce off and an appropriate follow up.
Absolutely. We're exploring, and the show is listed after metalcore.
Yes, only makes
it makes sense that we visit the some of the godfathers of modern metalcore.
Yeah, and Godfathers is right, man. I was really taken aback by just how influential this band and their sound was on that whole what was called the new wave of American heavy metal at the time, you know?
Yes.
And just how fractured metalcore as a subgenre was even at the time. Like I knew it had evolved and it had changed sounds and looks and had become something some would describe as, you know, grossly unlike its roots.
Certainly.
But even at the time, it was breaking and fracturing in ways that I hadn't really appreciated before.
Yes. So and many bands that I had not really given the time of day to until did this TDF, and I went, oh well, who influences the influencers? Yeah. And had a look at some of Killswitch Engage's sources, and going more into Hatebreed and the like.
Ooh.
I guess you'd call them like a proto metalcore act.
I mean, I would call them metalcore, but in a different way.
Yeah, it's a very different environment.
Flavor. Yeah,
as I say, I feel like modern metalcore here works.
Yeah,
as a holding up the production values.
Yeah,
to pair with the aggression.
Yeah,
and the different attitudes between hardcore and metal.
This is a band that I got into, I think, around 15 or 16 on the back of, as we mentioned last week, the Roadrunner United DVD. There's the great performance on there of My Last Serenade with Jesse Leach joining them on stage, which at the time, that being my introduction to the band, I wasn't really aware of how significant
absolutely
that was.
Wasted on me.
Yeah. But now it's great to watch as a fan. On the back of that, I picked up As Daylight Dies. That was my entry to them. At the time, that was the latest album they'd released, and got right into their discog from there, and have been along for the ride since. I was a Hojo diehard. I didn't really fuck with any of the Jesse Leach stuff, at least pre Hojo coming on board, and so this episode for me was a really good opportunity to familiarize myself with that earlier material and gain an appreciation for it. Maybe we'll find out. Where are you coming to this guys from?
I'm coming to Killswitch from an introduction at the age of 16, I'd say, where a high school friend passed me a CD to borrow for the weekend of Alive or Just Breathing. And this was at a time where I'd say All Shall Perish and Parkway Drive were really trending around the playground. And I wasn't quite there yet. I found the modern production values a little sterile, let's say.
Sure.
And I wasn't ready for Killswitch Engage in any way, shape, or form, especially not Jesse Leach's vocals. And I found it far too abrasive, too forward.
Yeah.
Even though this record would have been 5 years old at the time, it was pushing the envelope too much for my liking. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
So moving forward to, I guess, when As Daylight Dies comes out, My Curse is released. And boy, did that get a spin on my Xbox 360 arcade. Their music system. It was just a constant rotation. Well, as like Halo 2 and 3 came out, and Halo 3. And that was delightful. But after that, I didn't really mess with Killswitch. Holy Diver cover, excellent. Very familiar.
Yeah, very good.
But beyond, I'd say maybe their top 5 to 10 tracks, took them as a guitar influence, but due to who they've influenced.
Right, okay.
Which is quite a bevy of bands. So I came into this pretty blind of every album. Only a few singles I was familiar with.
Awesome.
So I didn't know what to expect. I did not know their trajectory.
Yeah.
I only knew of Adam D's production chops.
Sure.
Which are a delight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and off the bat. Cool. Well, I'm really excited to see what landed for you, what missed. I mean, if anything, because it was so good. And on that note, I have to be upfront in this one, I feel, with my metric for my rankings on this one, because quite honestly, I don't think any album in their discography misses the mark, save for maybe one. We'll see. I don't want to show my hand completely.
Sure. No, I'll match you with that.
Yeah. So I found a quote that I think that struck a chord, resonated, and I'm kind of using it to judge. To place my rankings today. The music journalist Dom Lawson wrote of this band, this is 21st century metal that makes every self-respecting mosh pit monkey, that every self-respecting mosh pit monkey should be extremely excited about. And I'm letting the monkey out, dude. I'm going. I'm ranking purely based on what albums make me go, and make me want to fucking.
Welcome to Tunes Goes Bananas.
Yeah, I'm going. Whatever makes me want to go bananas. That's what's getting the higher rankings this time.
Yeah, I actually took a fairly similar approach.
Okay.
In my rankings this week, I vetoed a few criteria that I would usually look at, which is where this album sits in their chronology and its influence, considering the production values, looking at the deeper, like the songcraft, narratives in tracks. And I took it back to, if I presented each of these 8 albums in front of me, in which order would I pick them up to listen to?
Yeah. If you were given
a very simple...
A Killswitch smorgasbord,
yes.
What are you scarfing down first?
Absolutely.
And what are you leaving until the end and go...
That's pretty much my method, which feels like a far simpler way to tackle this segment.
Far simpler, but
and also perhaps a little more honest. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. I was going to say, the more I tried to like sit with my notepad and intellectualize what I like about this music, the more it felt like dishonest. It felt like disingenuous. So I thought, no, this is the Big Riff Manifesto, dude. Big riffs all the time.
Yes.
No, big riffs are big riffs are the time. Big riffs are the best. Do drugs all the time. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hey, don't demonetize us just yet, Twitch. And I mean, I'm interested to see what other people's introductions to this was. Ethan says, same here, Roadrunner United was my introduction to them. Fuck yeah. And
at the time,
Dreamland.
apart from My Curse, this would have been the first time I saw them performing live.
Yeah. And Dreamland Nightmares says, God of War was my intro. That's right, they had a track on the God of War 3 like promo thing that Roadrunner did, which Trivium had a track on as well.
Yes, and Dream Theater.
Above. Yeah.
And
Very cool.
Opeth also was...
Yeah,
they had some massive talent out there.
A lot of Tears alumni on that CD. Not saying that means anything. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's get into it, shall we?
Beautiful.
So, to start with, we got 2000's self-titled album. Now, you may be more familiar with the Lovely Blue album cover
Yes.
that the 2004 remaster comes with. Look at this ugly shit. That's disgusting. That's
Yes,
a Photoshop
that's great.
abortion. That's
pretty rough.
fucking hideous. But the riffs within, pretty fucking good, especially for a debut album. I feel like this starts with such a terrific 1-2 punch with Temple from Within and Vita Infra, and immediately. It's a 1-2 punch that makes me go, okay, fuck, it's A tier.
Ah, nice!
Yeah, dude. Off the bat, and this was an album I have never listened to all the way through. Given that those two tracks I just mentioned are on the follow-up album, I never really saw much point in going back to this, and thought that if I did, it would just be far too apparent that this is a formative band. They're not the Killswitch that they will go on to be, and that I would just be wanting to listen to later stuff. But hot damn, dude, I've found myself coming back to this a lot more than I thought I was going to, and a lot more than I have in my time listening to Killswitch in the last month or so. And I think it does a few things that are cool. I think while it does still sound quite formative at this point, it's ferocious for one thing, and it's emphatic, especially in the lyrics, and just undeniably strong as a debut. And it is this and I think the follow-up are the blueprints to that every modern metalcore album, let's call it, from here on will be taking notes from, whether they know it or not. If bands listening to Parkway are citing Parkway as their main influence, they owe a debt to this band, these first couple of albums.
Dude, don't they ever? There are tracks on here they went, these, like, there's a good straight minute of this song here, there, everywhere.
Yeah.
That is going, this is actually just Parkway, including the Winston Talks section.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
everything there.
I like too that off the bat, Jesse Leach's lyrics are kind of front and center and have a real point of difference in that they are aggressively positive. Like the track Vita Infra for one is the chorus is this fucking beat down like groove, and the lyrics are like no one is placed higher than another, no matter race or creed or gender, and it's screamed with this like throat tearing like urgency, and it's just it makes me want to buy a hacky sack and run into traffic with it. I don't know how else to describe it.
That sounds great. Get onto it, kids.
And yeah, I mean, I really like this record, man. I'm going to leave it at that. Where do you sit this?
I was not expecting an A from you on this record, and I was not expecting an A from me on this record either. I was stunned at this debut release. I think it's one of the best debut releases that we have had on TDF so far. Going back through this segment's history, it took me so long to get to the rest of Killswitch's discography. It's like I was running a hurdle race.
Yeah.
And I could not get over that first one because I just stop and appreciate that first hurdle. I'd look at it from all angles and be like, that was great. I'd go back to the starting line, I'd run again, I'd see the hell like
coaches on the sidelines like, what are you doing?
Oh, that's a nice hurdle. Appreciate that hurdle for a bit longer. I just had this on rotation for as long as we were running this TDF.
Yeah, right.
Winds up. So much so that Vita Infra and the Temple from Within ended up in my top played of the year.
What, from that last
like month.
That's
of 2021.
That's pretty nuts, dude.
Vita Infra was one of my favorite songs of the year, easily, and has continued to be so through 2022.
Yeah.
And there have been 4 iterations of this track in a 5-year space.
Yeah.
It appears in both this original edition, the remaster, the 1999 demo, which blows my mind that this track was written in the 90s.
It's
really
very forward thinking in that way, like musically speaking.
Definitely. And and then again is re-recorded in a later album. We'll get to that. I was stunned by the way, by how pure they take the idea of metalcore here. It really is a meet in the middle of metal and hardcore, which I don't see often in the genre. It feels like a real honest start to modern metalcore, and I did not think that that KSE would have their sound so realized on the first record.
Yeah,
because KSE have a lot of modes, and there are a fair few at play here. The clean vocals aren't quite there yet.
No.
Jesse Leach is a very, very raw person. In, I feel like, everything he does, through his honesty about his anxieties, his own vocal talents, his approach, his lyricism. And his vocal styling. And, the cleans could certainly... and certainly will develop. And also there's not many clean sections through the guitar work either. This isn't a very dynamic release, but it doesn't want to be either, and it shouldn't be. It doesn't need to be.
No, it's got that.
Quite unrelenting. It's immature, as you would expect for a first album.
I was going to say it's got that youthful exuberance that we see in
but I feel like it services the hardcore elements.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's furious.
Yeah.
Totally. And you're right, it is a very nice meeting in the middle of between, like, metalcore being comprised primarily of like heavy metal and hardcore influences. This meets so nicely in the middle.
The production is excellent from Adam D, straight out of the gate. Nobody in this project is starting off completely green. This is a little bit of a local supergroup coming together from different bands, being invited with some label intentions. I believe it was Ferret Records.
I have the original. I have the fucking awesome. OG here, baby.
Nice.
Complete with the. There's a babe on the back.
Ooh.
Ferret Records logo's a babe.
Yeah.
Ferret Music.
So they did have label backing from the get-go. Their very first show was opening for In Flames. Imagine.
You lucky bastards.
Yes. I would say set up for success, but they clearly earned it.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
This being their first offering.
Yeah. So what I was going to ask you is the production. You would have primarily been listening to the 2004 remaster. I sent you this morning the OG mix. What do you think of the OG mix compared to the remaster? And did it sway you at all?
No, it didn't.
Yeah. I think it's really fucking solid. Yeah. It doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like a demo. It just sounds like that sort of music from that era.
They
on a probably a shoestring budget compared to what they would get to play with after.
The 2004 remaster does also feature the 1999 demo tracks on it. So I did have a point of reference for I guess the three eras of this album. And the first edition that was released.
Yeah, beautiful.
Very, very
cool. Well, I want to see what chat thinks, and chat is just fucking popping off with the new
Yes,
emotes.
it is exploding.
I'm glad you all are enjoying it. Does anybody have any thoughts on this album? No stress. If not, I'll just enjoy your wall of twerking Luke emotes. Twerk to the breakdown. That's it. I do like
Twitch.tv/Tunes TV if you want to twerk in Luke emote of your own.
I like Hello Magello's input that KSE sounds like KFC.
I appreciate
That's why. Yeah. Okay. There it is. I now get the warmth that you're feeling for it. We're preoccupied. Scroll up for thoughts. I didn't see thoughts. All I see is. Oh yeah. No, there's a productive contribution. Thank you, Ethan. Adam D did produce Horizons and Killing with a Smile. He did too.
Yes.
Yeah.
The pieces fit together very well.
I know the pieces fit.
It makes brutal sense.
You make me want to listen to KFC all the time. Colonel Core, dude.
Yeah, let's go. It's worth stating also, there are 3 times that is appropriate to use a self-titled for an album title.
Yeah.
And it is the beginning of a career, the end of a career, or a magnum opus. And this album ticks the box. Of beginning a career.
Yeah.
It's a clean way to do it.
Yeah,
Excellent.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a great start.
Yeah.
Let's see where it goes from there. Jump ahead to 2003, I believe. Alive
2002.
Or... really? 2002? Mm-hmm. Oh, you're right. Sorry, 2 years later. Alive or Just Breathing. Again, this was one I had spent probably far less time with than anything that comes after this album. You mentioned finding Jesse Leach's vocals. You used the word abrasive when we were talking earlier, and that's how I felt about his vocals right up until very recently, at least on these first couple of albums, because they are really raw, and it's more about the emotion than the the delivery or the listenability of them rather. And that kind of always put me off, but now I kind of I get it. It's like something tweaked over, and I think just being so familiar and enjoying so much his lyricism on the later albums, I came back to this and listening to the words that he's screaming quite unappealingly, I got into it. I was like, nice. Fuck yeah, this is my last Serenade. And I mean, it's another album that starts with such an impressive opening salvo. Numbered Days kicks in, and you get that fucking get it. The time approaching. Yeah, fuck off. Just make again.
The album openers are so strong.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
this will keep coming.
Yep. And what follows after that opening salvo, I think it's up to track 6. Track 6, the song that the album derives its title from, Just Barely Breathing, is the first one where it kind of slows down and they play with mood and dynamics a little bit more. And from there on, it's not quite like hit after hit, but every track that I hear is a grower, and there's nothing on here that I would go, nah, fuck that off. I think this band has 3 phases. This is their first phase, and I think in each phase they have an album that I would deem fucking perfect.
Wow.
This is that phase's album for me. And again, it just makes me want to fucking throw down. It makes me want to start a drum circle and then kick everyone in it. You know?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Great stuff. I want to hear your thoughts. Oh, actually, I will just say, I think what makes me go, this is worth placing above the last one. What it does better than the last one is that it kind of cements the vocal melody side of things. There's more vocal melodies and harmonies on show, and Adam D is adding to that to great effect. He moves on to guitar for this album.
He actually doesn't.
Well, no, he plays the drums.
He records the drums,
performs
live.
the guitar live.
Yes.
And therefore plays a much larger role in the vocal department.
Yeah.
And yeah, to great effect. I slept on this album, kicking myself for doing so, but thrilled to have a new album that I can spin to no end.
Absolutely. Alive or Just Breathing, I feel very secure in saying would have to be one of the most influential metal records of the thousands. The most influential in metalcore, likely. When I listened to this album through this segment, I was stunned at how many times I've heard every single idea aped to death.
Yeah.
For the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And this record is now 20 years old. And because of that, unfortunately, it has not endured the way I would have hoped.
Aww.
If we ranked this upon its how amazing this is at time of writing, and how influential this album is, how forward-thinking this album is, and how raw and relentless this album is, is an easy S from me.
Sure.
Unfortunately, how much I've heard this album through the gaze of 1,000 other bands makes this a far less enduring listen for me.
Sure.
And it sits at the B.
Yeah.
With the first release, they presented more surprises to me, and there was, and I hadn't heard as many ideas before with Alive or Just Breathing. Although I put it at a B, that is just my personal taste of. I go, yeah, I'm happy to go back to this album and grow with it. At the moment, it's suffered from success, essentially.
Okay.
There is not a single bad riff on this album, and I like not one.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of riffs on this album.
Fucking, it's riff salad, dude, but it's that good kind of riff
and
salad.
I am
super salad.
At odds with you regarding the track listing. You said from track 1 to 6 is perfection, and then after that, it.
I think after that, it's not perfection. It's the stuff that like grabs you and shakes you up front, and then that moment of reprieve for Barely Just Breathing. I feel like everything after that, save for to the Sons of Man, which is like 2 minutes.
That is Vita Infra 2.
Yeah,
it does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It cycles 2 riffs twice of straight blasts.
Yeah.
And then at the exactly the 1 minute mark, it goes into the sickest riff.
Yeah, totally.
Vita Infra does the exact same thing.
I was going to say too.
Oh my god!
I think why the first half grabs me a bit more is because the back half is where we get Temple from Within and Vita Infra again, which by that point I'm familiar with them, so I'm enjoying it. But again, I was I guess being less familiar with this album, I was more surprised by the first 5 or 6 tracks.
Yeah. I was more impressed by the back half.
Okay.
And how naturally the tracks in the first album flowed into this. And I guess there was far more dynamic range with the Element of One, Without a Name, and Rise Inside.
Yeah,
they've all got
these sick closer.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a really strong closer. In fact, I wish, was it Rise Inside? It's a real amp up track, isn't it?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Actually, sorry, no, this was off the last album. It was something with KSC. I'll just revisit this.
Yeah.
One Last Sunset is a real rising track. I wish that was the second last track on the album.
Yeah,
because it goes into this massive
builds and then just fades out.
Closes. Right? Yeah. It'd be great to have something just to cap that off.
I love how Rise Inside caps things off with this just disgusting breakdown and fade out on that.
But little bass.
Something I wanted to say that I think elevates it above those albums that you say looking at this album and pinching ideas from, is that I think a lot of those, like the track we were just hearing, Fixation on the Darkness, has that digga, 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 like that kind of riffing. That's what bands following this latched onto. Yeah, they left on the fucking so much on the table in terms of what all of the death metal influence that this album has, and that really shocked me. There are some really fucking brutal, disgustingly heavy riffs on this album.
Yeah,
the
bands
first half
that stole Sons of Man is filthy.
Yeah, man, and like stuff that again the bands that like listen to this.
It's straight slam.
Totally. And I feel like I mean, even Parkway, who are one of the heavier bands that to borrow liberally from what Killswitch, the trail that Killswitch blazed, don't get this fucking heavy. I don't think.
No.
And that cements it as an S for me.
This riff, man.
That's a way of me intellectualizing the monkey brain.
For me, it's a matter of something's got to give.
Yeah, sure.
And
sure.
From my
totally get
personal preference, this is where it sits.
Yep.
Logically, it's an S.
Yeah, sure,
but we're not playing by logic, we're playing by emotion.
Oh, yeah.
So, just as Jesse does.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We've checked logic at the door.
Yeah, absolutely. There are many more influences that would define Killswitch and their sound that are introduced in this album. Yeah. So many more ninth chords in the choruses, those really uplifting choruses.
Yeah. I mean, the
picking up here.
My Last Serenade, the kind of biggest single from it, or the one that a lot of people I've talked to, that was their introduction to it. It was mine. Is like so noticeably more catchy than anything on the first album.
Yes, definitely.
Almost to a point where
chimey guitars.
Yeah, you could imagine people at the time who were perhaps fans of the raw aggression on the first album being like, oh, what the fuck, they sold out. But then you get to Sons of Man and it's just like, nah, anything but.
Absolutely. I like to also point out, you're speaking about Adam D on the drums, which was wild to me. I had no idea. And have
you seen footage of him doing it? He's got the completely bleached blonde hair, spiked up.
Oh my god!
Wearing a sweatshirt.
Oh my god!
Awesome.
Wild.
Yeah,
I'd love to check that after.
Yeah.
He has such a holistic approach to drumming. It's, I don't know, on paper it reads as a guitarist writing drums, and there's a very particular sound of a guitarist writing drums. I'm sure you've heard it before. I know I've done it for years.
I've never heard that phrase.
It's either like you massively overplay material to just an impossible or impractical end.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand the instrument as a drummer would. But shit, if they're writing the songs, then they've got to write the drum structures as well.
Yeah.
At least to present. But here, Adam D has the functionality of both.
Yeah.
And he strips it back to a real simple grooves.
Yeah.
And the drums just lay down a blank like tapestry for all the instrumentation to be woven around.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that there won't be just like fourth crashes running through a track.
He does some really...
Everything else around it is weaving into 6/8 and 3/4 and playing with that 4/4 in a really fun way.
Yeah,
and that's a real defining feature of KSE.
Yeah,
and it spawned from him drumming and later moving to guitar and doing it, but on the other side.
It makes it that all of those tracks, even when they're playing with timing and stuff, you can always feel the pulse of the track, and you can always dance, you can always groove to it, you can always headbang to it. But he finds little ways to add these little flourishes.
They're so spicy.
They're not they're not like you say like overplaying. They're just this tasty little filigree of like on Numbered Days. During that first, when that he has this little sticker like hits
it's got this like real cool rule of cool that I wouldn't hear drummers do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
It's just
I think it just feels like
if a kid wanted to write cool drums, that's what I get from
absolutely, and it shines through in I think everything he does. You see him perform, and he is just so unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful.
Yeah. Massive props to being able to write and perform both elemental or rhythmic sections. Of KSE.
Yeah.
That's sick. That's something you don't hear in many bands. I think it's a real defining part of their sound.
Yeah. Let's have a look at chat. Existential Dreadnought says, I realised the first intro to them was actually my second Soundwave in 2013 as a 16-year-old babby. Hot darn, dude. Ethan says, my last Serenade will always have a special place in my heart, and the album comes in punchy and so good. This album is definitely a great stepping stone for their evolution. S tier for me.
Yeah, it's fair.
Fuck yeah, beautiful.
Very fair.
Dreadnought says, I haven't spun these boys in a long time. Time to spin again. Absolutely. Yeah. Please.
We'll say that
do
this
so
record,
and get as jazzed as we are.
I have such a profound appreciation of this record compared to when I first listened to it.
Yeah,
and it all makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
And I'm astounded that this came out in 2002, but as I said, I'm trying not to use that as a metric. Just for this week.
Yeah. Again, it's like early 2000s to 2010s metalcore suddenly made sense. Like all this
totally.
context came.
Yeah, this is the blueprint.
Yeah.
Of which 1,000 bands have spawned.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the End of Heartache. Jesse leaves the band 2 weeks into the tour for Alive or Just Breathing, due to where he was at the time, just couldn't handle it. They got Howard Jones in to fill in for him and eventually record on this album, The End of Heartache. This is the second Hojo album I listened to, and at that point I was familiar mostly just with the artwork. I'd seen that artwork the scratchy texture and the bloodied hands and the heart with the nails in it. At the time, I was like, this looks too heavy for me. This looks too scary. But after hearing As Daylight Dies and being like, kind of dipping my toes in the water a little bit, I was like, okay, no, I can handle this. And got into it and was struck immediately by the hot topicness of it all, which at the time when I was a kid, I was right into it. But now I a little bit less so, or I find it. There's an interview. There's a bit on one of their DVDs where they're talking about it and talking about having these songs that have like love and heartache and in the lyrics, and it being a great way to just like get a broader audience. Like literally just saying that, and god damn it is. But I think now that I'm familiar with their entire catalog, and and Jesse's back in the saddle, and we're 3 albums deep with Jesse, and I'm far more familiar and enamored with his approach to lyrics. This feels a little sappy, a little disingenuous in parts, maybe, or just kind of banking on again the hot topicness of it, which I enjoy sinking into every now and then. But if I'm looking at these albums as a smorgasbord, to borrow your analogy from earlier, I'll probably save this until later. I chuck this at a B. I think this brings this doubles down on the anthemic kind of stuff that they were playing with on the last album. The title track is huge, ridiculous, and I will never forget seeing them live only a few years back. And this song, them opening with it, and it's still like they don't even have to sing the start of it. They start that riff, and it's a wall of sound from the crowd. Jesse doesn't have to lift a fucking finger.
There are so many live staples that were spawned from this album.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
Rose of Sharon is a great track. Bid Farewell is a great opener. I would like to say on Rose of Sharon though, I think we're at a disadvantage, you and I, culturally on this song, coming from Australia, because Sharon's a real fucking scrubber name down here.
Yeah.
Rose of Sharon.
Yeah, Rose of Shazza.
The Razor of Shazza. Razor of Shazza.
Yeah.
That probably sounded a bit more tender over there. I think the back end of this album is similar to the last one in that it's full of growers, but they don't quite get to the point where I'm like, I wouldn't fuck that off. World Ablaze doesn't really do much for me, and Wasted Sacrifice is a little bit of a wasted opportunity.
Oh!
Yeah, fuck you. But I really like Hope Is as a final
Hope
track.
Is a great closer.
Yeah, really cool.
I find Wasted Sacrifice is an excellent tie-in to the Leech era.
Okay.
It feels like it would be at home on their self-titled.
Okay. That's cool.
That's a very, like, where they are embellishing so much of their other material on this album. With, they're just dipping into stacked thirds, ninths, like, just all the pretty notes to make you feel like it's has a sense of grandiose, or a weight, a real emotional weight, and they're using every cheap tool in the book to access that.
Yeah.
Tracks, like that second last track, Wasted Sacrifice. That's almost at odds with the rest of the material based on how straightforward it is and how hardcore influenced it is.
Yeah. I think...
but hey, it feels like they're maintaining their roots there.
Yeah. I think this is an interesting album in that it kind of... The lineup is shaken up. Hojo's now the vocalist, and Justin Foley joins on drums, and this becomes the lineup from here on out.
Yeah.
But I think it does a really great... They both do a really great job of picking up the torch from the last drummers, and vocalists being...
This sounds so Adam D, the material.
Exactly, yeah, he's a great fit. He writes kind of the same way. There's the same kind of no bullshit kind of how did you describe it? Holistic approach.
Yeah.
But with a real flair, a real creative flair in knowing exactly where to chuck a beat that's just 4 on the floor, stomp,
which is most of the time,
and which is most of the time, and that's what the monkey that's what the monkey wants. But also knowing when to chuck a cool fill or whatever.
He knows when to put the snare on the one and when to put it on the end. And that's half the job, honestly.
Yeah, totally. That's all I have to say. I have one more thing to say about this album. A couple of things. I think the production gets better and better as we go. It's really timeless. Like, this sounds great. Doesn't sound steeped in the early 2000s. It's great. And something that I remembered from that the World Ablaze DVD, the documentary, when they're talking about maybe it was an interview or something with Hojo or something, I don't know, but they're talking about Adam D's stage banter. At one point, when like introducing songs, he'll come up with these ridiculous segues into songs, and one of them was this next song's about the time Howard fell down, this is when darkness falls.
Oh, fuck off.
It's so good.
Jesus.
Anyway, you got anything?
That's okay, I'll save the segment, it's fine. To me, this is Killswitch Engage's definitive sounds, their definitive era. Howard Jones is my front man. May not be everyone. He is mine. I think he's certainly the safer and the more marketable of the two.
His voice is butter. He's
my lord.
Butter.
One of the best in the biz. An absolute delight. And this record, combining Adam D's production chops with Andy fucking Sneap, who was also involved with Alive or Just Breathing, but opening just... I feel like this album has such a sense of scale, and yes, they do use many cheap tactics in their lyricism and in their harmonic tune.
Yeah, it's real gimmies.
But hey, they got him. For me, this is an easy A, easily on par, if not an A+. With the self-titled. This is such an easily digestible release, and it's something I can happily put on at any point in time to just reset my headspace. And that's something I am valuing more and more.
That's really nice.
And something I didn't used to value. I used to put on music for active listening. Now I'm very grateful of albums that I can use for a piece of mindfulness.
Sure.
And I think both vocalists for KSE are excellent for that. But this is simply an easier reset, let's say. I feel like this has more accessible modes.
Okay.
So it's something that I really appreciate. This is where Killswitch say My Last Serenade is the first anthemic track they write, and they take that idea and they rework it and workshop it over and over into
they almost
make it a defining.
They almost go like, okay, what if that, but every track? Like, to some degree, there is there's something anthemic about every track, and from the first song, that the as soon as that first chorus of Bid Farewell kicks in, and Howard comes in with the cleans. It soars. I think it's a fantastic first album to come into. And Hojo had massive shoes to fill with the success of Alive or Just Breathing, and platformed them not just on his own merits, but Snape, Adam D, they all worked so wonderfully together to create this record. It's not consistently high across the board. There are certain obvious peaks. So listed Hope is Rose of Sharon, End of Heartache, title track. But I don't feel like it falls hard either. No, not at all. I rank it, if we were ranking this based on the usual metrics and I was taking into account legacy, this would be an S alongside Alive or Just Breathing. Because this, I mean, that image says 2004 too.
Yes, absolutely it is. I do understand where you're coming from with the vocal or the lyrics seeming, I think in retrospect, a little more shallow, perhaps.
Well,
or they just don't. They're full of buzzwords, like excitable buzzwords, rather than tackling
synergy.
crazy,
I think
acceptance of old creeds.
I think
2000.
Well, I think what it is
in a pre-2001 world.
I think what it is that the albums that Jesse returned for lyrically have. I have quite an affinity for them because listening to them has gotten me through some of the darker periods of my late 20s. And that's kind of what I go to Killswitch for now. I go to Killswitch to feel lifted up and I don't know, hopeful.
Yeah.
And I don't get that from just the lovey-dovey angst that this album kind of has.
Yeah, this motherfucker cannot stop writing about fire. It's like almost Dragon Force level of the amount of fire he slips into his lyrics. For sure.
Yeah.
Cons, please take it away.
I want to see what chat thinks. Let's have a little look. God, it's so hard finding where I was. Hey, Kid2, how you doing? Fixation on the Darkness slaps so hard. Fucking hey, it does. Elaboratrous breathing reminds you heaps of soil work. Nice. End of Heartache makes me feel very emo, not gonna lie. Yes. Totally. But I think we all have a little place in our heart for the End of Heartache. I think whenever it's played at like metal clubs and the like, you can see winning people over.
Very late to it, but I have gained a nostalgia that I never had for the track.
Yeah. Sed says Rosa Sharon is the only song of theirs I know, and it fucking smacks. Fuck yeah. Ethan says, even though this is a B-tier album, I will be voting against Connor from here on out. What? Because of my Adam D anecdote? He said it. Please make a 2000s era metalcore song about words of instant influence. That's fucking genius. That is fucking genius. I'm writing that down. Connor listens to Killswitch to feel young again. No, I listen to Killswitch to feel...
just to feel.
Yeah, like not despondent. Kitu puts this in quite nice words. Killswitch makes me feel both elated and depressed, which is hot.
Hey,
there you go. All right, well let's move on, dude.
There's a quote.
This was my first my entry to Killswitch in terms of albums that I bought. As Daylight Dies, and this. Hot damn, dude. I don't know if it's partially it's got to be just nostalgia and an affinity for it because it was my entry to it. But every time I come back to it, I'm staggered by the fact that this is 11 fucking perfect tracks. This is the perfect album of the Hojo era. From the first track, Daylight Dies, it's like they shed the kind of sappy emo trimmings that End of Heartache have and come out of the gates with this just fucking filthy, disgusting, terrifying riff on Daylight Dies.
Nice.
And Hojo's vocals match, dude. That first vocal delivery, I can't recall the lyrics off the top of my head, but the way he screams them and the production kind of bolstering that sense of urgency and anger. God, man, it gives me chills. Really cool. This is Absolution's a wonderful follow-up. Arms of Sorrow is really fucking cool, dude. I'm
another live staple.
Because I'm not sure. Because I'm a dum-dum, I can't work out, but I'm forever trying to nail the.
So it's
on drums. How do they count that?
So it's 4 beats of 5.
Okay.
And then 2 beats of 2 to make 24, which is 4 bars of 6/4.
I can see through the matrix and I don't fucking like it. Take me back to 4 on the floor. Which we get a lot of as well in My Curse and such. Unbroken, fucking For You, Still Beats Your Name. Oh my god. The only track that still kind of I hear and I tolerate it and appreciate it just as a kind of, I guess, calm before the storm that is Reject Yourself as a their best closer, their best album closer. Desperate Times, it's a little bit of a slog, I think, just because of the tempo, and the rest of the album is so up tempo. But I do like the way it builds. I like the way it ends, and again, the way it leads into Reject Yourself is chef kiss. And again, this is
so cool.
This is the S tier Hojo era album.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? I want to hear you and bounce off you a bit.
Oh, you'll bounce off me all day. We'll bounce.
Oh, we'll
bounce. Oh, we're bouncing.
Oh, fuck, we're bouncing.
Oh, God, we're bouncing. Chat, show me how hard I can bounce. The definitive Killswitch Engage record for me. I did say that Hojo was my bae.
Mm-hmm. And this is why?
Man, when I was looking at this cover, I was not familiar with As Daylight Dies. Right. That's a yes, sir.
Yeah,
there we go,
there we go.
When I was looking at this cover, I was going, oh no, what am I in for? I was very, very familiar with My Curse. I hold My Curse as one of the definitive metalcore anthems. I think it's a masterpiece of a track. That's brilliant. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't aware of how much this album in particular platforms that track for success. Mm-hmm. I thought it would be a shining star in an ocean of like little supernovas that I'll forget.
Yeah, sure.
Oh boy. This album does not let up, and it introduces essentially what is in My Curse, runs through the rest of the album, and then some. They open and close the record with these really cool like post-rock pieces. They've got these like heavily tremolo guitars, which they haven't yet done in their discog. They visit it in Desperate Times and Break the Silence in particular. And Reject Yourself is just a beautiful track.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Daylight Dies opens with this tremolo section, and
the way that
just it has this real. Once again, they use a lot of cheap tricks with the End of Heartache for sure. Here they use expensive tricks.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, and they really earn their stripes.
Yeah.
Heaps of 6/4 on this record, like just with the drums.
Yeah.
Bars of just beats of 6, and they're just jamming 4/4 over the top, and they just meet in the middle. Oh, I cannot get enough of that. And really bluesy riffs as well, like really feely, more blues-driven riffing.
Can you point to one?
My Curse verse. Oh
yeah, totally.
They're using a lot of that tritone.
Yep.
To great effect. Like it sounds like American heavy metal.
Yeah. This is totally
the sort of thing that you might find in Lamb of God.
They get their pull on this album.
Yeah, they do.
Absolutely.
And it services them very well because it juxtaposes all those shining moments even more. And those reflective moments with the post-rock kind of style, which I was not anticipating at all. That blindsided me.
I just remembered the first lyric in Daylight Dies is how it's screaming, "This place is evil." I'm just like, it is, holy shit, you know?
Yeah, it's wild.
And that riff is evil, dude.
Yeah. Wonderful. I was, when running through this album...
Was this another hurdle for you?
This was not a hurdle at all.
Oh, okay.
When I first listened to it, I think I got to My Curse, and I went, okay, this feels really cool, but it feels like the End of Heartache Part 2. And then I realized, and then I caught up to what this album was doing from My Curse into For You. After My Curse, I was like, how do they follow that?
Yeah.
Oh my god, For You is disgusting. It's fucking gross. Yeah, it's a despicable.
Yeah, I'm chucking.
Yeah, totally.
There we go.
That's right. Just play it. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah. So this is the one of the 4 5s and then the 2 2s.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. It's groovy, but also technical. It's hideous, but they like death metal sections. Almost like stuff you hear Protest the Hero or Between the Buried and Me do.
Yeah,
like it's sort of mathcore-y death shit.
Yeah.
And then they have all these chiming, uplifting sections, and they make it work so much. Smorgasbord, all right. Yeah, and from here, it's just excels. The first half of the album is very accessible. The second half is challenging and exciting.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, no song kind of does just one thing for 4 minutes. Every song kind of moves and changes, sometimes on a dime. I mean, Reject Yourself starts with this kind of like almost waltzy feeling beat and everything, and then just shifts into fucking you get a fucking from Hojo, and you're just like, oh, we're off, you know?
Yeah.
And then manages to snap back into that this big emotional sweeping thing for the chorus. Bring it back. It's great. Fucking wonderful album. Do you have anything else to add? Well, let's see what
the best.
Let's see what chat thinks. Let's have a look. As Daylight Dies is best, and is why Howard is number one, says Magello. Correct. Ethan says, fuck, I'm 4-4 with Connor.
I'm so sorry to hear it.
I still have The Arms of Sorrow end up in my top 100 in 2021. Wow.
I'm going to hold this belt tight while I can.
Kiddu says, Howard is king. Yes. Please get sticks and explain tempo, Luke. That sounds insane to play, says Jack. Connor, the songs are perfect, therefore none of them are slogs. Bruh. Look, you might be right. Maybe I'm dumb. I got to listen to Desperate Times again. I think it comes on, and we've just had Break the Silence, and I'm excited for Reject Yourself, and I'm waiting for it to wrap up. Though by the time that last chorus hits, for Desperate Times, I'm won over by the sheer emotional weight of that kind of post-rock sounding shit.
If this album hasn't won you over by then, for you to swallow a few last tracks.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's
it
true.
must also be said, very neat albums, very neat records. I don't think we've gone over 45 minutes yet.
I'm not sure about that, but yeah, very, very neat. Like, we're around the 40.
Have we gone over 45?
The first album's like 37 minutes long or something. 32 minutes even.
Yeah, this is 43.
Yeah.
Perhaps Alive or Just Breathing might be a little longer. But,
yeah, maybe.
But overall, these albums are very tight.
Yeah.
They don't repeat many ideas. They might have similar sounding sections, but they don't repeat ideas in a song very often. They're quite fluid in their structure.
Yeah.
And it makes them very edible.
Totally.
I love it. And a bunch of short intermission tracks as well that are often sprinkled. In the past, I might have seen, like a track that goes for 1 minute or 2 minutes. I'm like, yeah. Killswitch, nail it.
Totally.
They're very good at a short song.
I think that's what I appreciate about this album is that this doesn't have any of those.
It doesn't.
This is just songs. This is just tracks. Ethan said that on that point, Ethan says there isn't a single track on this album that drops off for me. Arms of Sorrow and My Curse are great. Holy shit, the albums. This is the album to introduce people to Killswitch with. S tier. Kitty says yes, love the post-rock moments. Looks like the chat is
there's
there.
We're
all on the
so
same
much
page
more
there.
on this album than I could have expected, and I did not expect much out of this. I thought End of Heartache was the Hojo record of choice.
Yeah. I think it's maybe a definitive record in terms of legacy or just being iconic of an era. But I think this shits on it.
This is the platinum record,
yeah.
so it's the only one that's gone platinum, I believe.
Oh, really?
I think the rest have gone gold.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong there.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that this was as enthusiastically received.
I didn't. I thought if it was because of My Curse,
right?
And that carried it.
Yeah. Okay. And actually, that's the album. Well, hey, hot dog.
Or maybe it is My Curse, and it's just a
definitive S album from chat. We're getting a lot of use out of that S tier emote. Thank you very much, chat. Let's move on.
Please.
Okay, so a few years go by and we get a second self-titled album. What? Now, you said there were 3 instances where you could use the self-titled.
I did. The beginning.
Album. The beginning.
The end. And the magnum opus. The definitive record. Yeah.
And I'm interested to hear where this sits for you, because this was my In on the Ground Floor album. We've talked about this with other bands where, like, this is the album for me that I was a Killswitch fan at this point, and this album came out. It was my first album where I'm buying it day one, and I feel like, yeah, I'm a real Killswitch fan. And boy, I felt a little bit dicked around. Not gonna fucking lie. Now, if I was to rank this with all the criteria that we've talked about, I would probably be a bit more generous to it. But going with the smorgasbord analogy, this I'm sliding off the table and I'm giving this to the cats, dude. The cat on the cover. Giving it to the fucking cat on the cover.
D for dog food.
D for dog food, dude. Now, again, there are some songs on here that every now and then I'll come back to and just kind of, out of morbid curiosity, listen to and go, yeah, this is all right. Like, I quite like The Return, which is like this weird overblown ballad thing. Starting Over makes me laugh because it starts with a yeah from Hojo.
Yeah.
And the music video is fucking stupid.
Dude, I was spinning, as was listening to some Killswitch with me before. She goes, how many times can they jam yow into a song? You know, these yowies? Yow! All the fucking time.
I love it. Yeah, there's not much else on this album that keeps me coming back.
This cover's so fucking goofy, dude.
The cover's stupid as shit.
Is this a leopard spot?
Is it
like a little eyeball?
What do you mean?
See that dot? There, it looks like...
Yeah, that's a leopard.
Looks like someone just grabbed this thing by the cock.
It's a leopard with like a snake tongue and some wallpaper coming out of it. I don't know. It's just not great, and it doesn't really. It's indicative of the album as a whole, and I think even the titling is indicative of the album as a whole. It's this.
Yeah.
We didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to make of this. Unsurprisingly, this would be the last album with Hojo on it. He, similar to Jesse, just found himself in a place where his heart wasn't in it anymore.
It happens.
It's an awkward and a little bit of an unfortunate note to end Hojo's era on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do anything that I genuinely like more than anything else they do. So I have no reason to come back to this album. And I don't think they have much reason to come back to this album either. I don't think they play much, if anything, of this live.
I feel like
why would you?
They knew how mediocre this was, and they subliminally wanted to communicate that to the audience when they were looking at it in the music shop. Like, flip it around, look at those song titles, and tell me if they want you to buy this record.
Yeah.
If these song titles aren't indicative of the contents of this release.
The first track, Never Again. Never Again.
Track 2, Starting Over.
Yeah!
The Forgotten, the next track.
Yeah.
Take Me Away.
I would do anything. Save me.
Lost,
this is Goodbye. The last track's This Is Goodbye.
Like
Hojo, you were trying to tell us.
Yes, he was communicating very clearly his intent on this record, and it's I'm out of here. Where the rest of Hojo's material is quite uplifting. Damn, this is a somber outing.
Somber and kind of.
This is like you went out for a field trip, but a kid got caught under the bus tire on the way out, and you just have to You've already signed the permission slips. Let's just get on with it. Just try and cheer everyone up for another 45 minutes.
Come on, Sovereign Hill will still be good.
Dig for gold.
You're panning.
They're like blood flowing down the river.
Yeah. Anyway, where does this sit for you?
Oh, yeah. It's great. S. Let's give it a decent. A C. Let's see, I won't be as savage as you because I feel like this album would be a strong showing from a lesser band. And this is the first time that Killswitch have faltered for me. As I said, I put Alive or Just Breathing at a B, but really it's an amazing record. This, I feel very justified in all aspects that this is a C. It's a record that I'm not keen to go back to, but if I was to listen to it, I wouldn't be disappointed. It's just a unfortunate black mark on an otherwise squeaky clean discography at this point in time.
Yeah, you're right.
and because it's any imperfections at this stage are dog's balls. Like they are standing out.
Yeah, totally.
Very obvious.
Yeah, it's a very well. That's what I kind of alluded to that earlier. Like, I think this discography is really just competent across the board.
C for competent. It's a passing grade.
Yeah, man. I think going off.
It's not
grading these albums this way was the only way to make this ranking kind of even remotely interesting. We were kind of talking earlier and saying that, like, were it not for that, we would be.
This would be nothing but S's and A's.
Yeah, exactly. This would just be identifying Killswitch, the episode. Yep. It's Killswitch. Yeah, and Killswitch is synonymous with 2 thumbs up. Very good.
Yeah, it's possibly the strongest discography that we've hit thus far, in my opinion. That's why I'm having to pull some of that back to just be more emotive, to get some coverage across here. Yeah, because this wouldn't look as exciting if it was just so top heavy.
I was looking at my rankings before kind of taking this approach, and it was like A. Like, I filled the A tier. Yeah. And I was like, this will not do.
Can't have such positivity in chat. People don't want
to hear that. What album good? Let's see what chat thinks. This kind of missed a bit for me, and bit by bit it's a lot. C tier. All right, cool. That's from Ethan. Kiddu says, Reckoning was the first song I heard from Killswitch Engage. It was a free download thing for Roadrunner Records.
Oh, that's sick.
Those were cool.
Yeah.
I like that song, but not much else from it. Glad I listened to the other stuff and other albums despite it.
Good one.
Some wallpaper coming out of it, LeMayo, yes. Ethan says, Jones left Killswitch in early 2012 to allow himself to manage his type 2 diabetes, which was worsened by the hectic tour lifestyle. 2015, Jones revealed he had been struggling with anxiety and depression for a long time, which had been worsened by his rise to fame in Killswitch. I'm glad he's doing better these days. Yeah, I mean, we still get to hear. I was really bummed when he left because his vocals were a real selling point for me. And I mean, his I guess while this album does feel a bit meandering and a bit lost, when he's belting, I still love the sound of his voice. When he's doing his thing, I still really enjoy it. So I was a bit bummed to not have Hojo in my ears. New Hojo, new Joe. But
you can
thankfully,
more.
It doesn't matter. Thankfully, he came back with the band Devil You Know. They put out 2 albums under that name. They're now named Light the Torch, and they've got 2.
Because he can't stop talking about fire.
They've got 2 albums under that now. So there's still Hojo out there doing his thing, and good on him, because he's got especially his cleans a really unique sound in metal. So fucking good on him. Shall we?
Yes. Before we move on, something I missed addressing in As Daylight Dies, I thought it quite remarkable that 2 of the best tracks off As Daylight Dies are off the special edition.
Being?
That being Fire Still Burns.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Massive.
Wrestling intro.
Yeah, wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, which is probably another reason why it sold so well, because it got that wrestling market on the special edition at least, and the Holy Diver cover, which was one of their best-selling songs.
Yeah,
both were on that special edition.
Great video too.
Yes,
I get to see Hojo as a blacksmith. Fuck
yeah!
Awesome. It's so cool.
My loins light up. That light my torch. Good grief. It's remarkable how strong all of these special editions are. Of course, we only rank the standard editions here, and are only accounting for the standard editions, but Killswitch Engage have excellent remasters and special editions and they've got special editions for almost every album, and all of their covers look better for it.
Except for this one. I don't think there's any saving this album.
No,
No, the special edition of this album looks even more uninspired than the normal edition, dude. It's the fucking it's the lizard cat thing just inverted, and it's stupid. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Can we move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, moving on. So Hojo leaves, and some time goes by. 2009 was the self-titled, the self-titled Take 2. Disarm the Descent comes out in 2013 with Jesse Leach back on vocals after completing a 10-year anniversary tour with Killswitch, touring Alive or Just Breathing. And they decided to go in and do Disarm the Descent. They feel they're all at a place where it's right. They're all feeling good. And this thus begins the third phase of Killswitch. The Jesse Leach 2.0 phase.
And the old guard rejoice, I'm sure.
The old guard, yeah, probably.
Back.
And I would say with great reason, because fucking out of the gates, dude. This is just... there is no fat on this album. It's fucking wonderful. I think the fire on the cover is really apt because this is a band that firing on all cylinders again. They sound... I mean, this is the fastest Killswitch album by far. Adam D has said as much in interviews before this album came out. They're like, this is probably the fastest thing we've ever recorded, but there's still plenty of melody. And they're right. I think every track has some kind of hook or something that makes it anthemic. And we get the return of Jesse with his... it's like he had a fucking training montage between Alive or Just Breathing and here, because... he's not the same vocalist. It's all control and technique, and it's fucking glorious.
Previously, you mentioned you're talking on Jesse's roars in Alive or Just Breathing, and as 2002, the dude is, I'd say, not just raw but XD in his screams. Like there are plenty of points there where you go, oh, this sounds a little crunkcore. With the screaming technique. Going through. That doesn't quite hit the mark for me. That's on point here. So controlled and weaponized. Yeah, absolutely. Again, every single track. This is similar to As Daylight Dies for me, where I look at the track listing, I'm like, this is just, there is absolutely no fat. And I mean, shit, the longest track on the album is 4.5 minutes. And it's the second last track, again, similar to what Desperate Times does, where it kind of slows things down right before the last track with Always, which I never really appreciated that song until I picked this album up. I came back to this album around a time where I was in a very sad place. Picked this album up and just happened to watch the music video for Always. It's a tearjerker, dude. I can't watch that fucking thing without welling up. And the first time I watched it, I just bawled my fucking eyes out. And so now I have a real affinity for that song. And a lot of the tracks on this album, I can see Ethan's mentioned this, but and I'll read the comment in full. But our bandmate in Triple Kill, Mackie, I kind of were lending albums to one another at certain points, and I tried to get him into Killswitch, and this era of Jesse Leach stuff is this album specifically is what like made him go, fucking A, I get this. And getting to see these guys live with Mackie, hearing In Due Time and stuff, like arm in arm screaming those lyrics and stuff with this dude, is such a core memory. So I have a real like personal affinity with this album. The lyrics are that good shit, get you through the hard times shit. And it's just wonderful. There's hooks everywhere. Fucking awesome choruses. The vocal melodies and harmonies are great, and just rocks my shit. Nice. This is the most metal that Killswitch get for me. You're saying the fastest that they get?
Yeah.
I'd say that in a thrash realm, even. Yeah. There's plenty on here that sounds like it could be Testament riffage. And,
I
feel they only deepen those connections to come.
Yep.
So there's lots of just modern metal touches, shredding some of the prettiness for just urgency, aggression, desperation, all that good shit that I've come to really appreciate over the last few years.
Well, this feels like a band's got something to fucking prove on this album.
And I was so impressed with Jesse's performance and his growth as a vocalist. I'm putting it as an A. I don't think it, for me, reaches the heights of As Daylight Dies. We'll see what happens. This is very new for me.
Yeah, okay.
And I was not expecting much out of the Jesse Leach material, going off like, oh shit, it's been 10 years since he's picked up a mic potentially. Oh, I mean, he has certainly performed with Killswitch sporadically, but only for some guest vocals on tracks that would have been 5 to 10 years old at the time. I did not expect this amount of passion, ferocity, and songcraft from them. Wonderfully produced, especially after their second self-titled faltered in the production slightly. Definitely it felt more compressed, like everything was kind of bundled together. Here it's everything has a great separation again. And that's where Killswitch thrive, when all the different elements get to breathe and weave. Where
you can hone in and appreciate what each player is doing, and how fucking good they are at their respective instruments and writing their parts.
Absolutely.
Treating each of their instruments as like a harmonic element.
Yes, and there's so much space for every instrument to breathe and have solo outings, standalone bass sections, drum breaks and fills when necessary. They don't do it all too often. As I said, they hold it as the core. But everyone has their moment in the sun on this record. And it's quite a celebration.
And I think lyrically, Jesse kind of comes back. We're hearing In Due Time, the lyric, it feels apt, where he says, all in due time, I see the world through different eyes. If you read the liner notes for the first album, especially, and hear interviews from that era, he's quite spiritual, but in a kind of young and almost crazy about it way. Like, he describes how he sees his role in Killswitch as like a vessel for God in his music, sort of thing. Whereas on this, it feels, but primarily he wanted his lyrics to be something positive, a positive force in the world and in music that is predominantly aggressive and angry and with a negative bent more often than not. And I think he achieves that on those first couple of albums, but here it feels far more, I don't know, thoughtful and more grown up, and in a way that it feels like, shit, man. Like, the track All We Have is a great example. The lyrics are like, forgiveness is all we have, nothing else will give you peace of mind. Shit like that. It's like stuff to put on when you're at your lowest and go, okay, breathe through it. You're not alone in this experience. It's exciting and uplifting, and with a real sense of empathy for the human experience, which I fucking froth. It's in Ed Shikari. It's here. Those are a couple of bands that I find I get a real I derive so much. I don't know. You said that mindful kind of
so there's a great mindfulness in Leach's material.
I get that.
There's definitely so not there in Hojo's.
So
beautiful. Something that I was keeping track of as going through this discography. I was going, geez, these guys have a reputation to uphold, and they presented a genre for people to ape from and adapt. At which point does the singularity hit? When does Killswitch fall? Or when do they stop innovating? And when do they stop... when do they start becoming a legacy act, and the up-and-comers meet it and rise up and beat them at their own game?
Yeah, sure.
Something that was always on my mind as I ran through this. And I thought that might have happened with As Daylight Dies, because I've gone, shit, this is 2006 now.
We've got...
They're like, we're now mid-2000s.
Yeah.
This is like famously where...
That sound is blowing
like
up.
Bands all over the world are coming out of the woodwork, and it's becoming one of the most trendy sounds in heavy music. And they hold, they hold the mantle. There is 7 years between As Daylight Dies and Disarm the Descent, with only one album between it. They've certainly taken their time, and a whole generation of metalcore has come and gone in those 7 years. Was trendy then, not so trendy now. At least the what metalcore has shifted so much.
Yeah.
It's gone more into it's just completely remodeled. The start. I'm trying to think of metalcore bands of like 2013.
I mean, I feel like at that point, and I could be wrong on this, but
fractured.
Yeah, it's fractured so much, and I feel like what's hip and what's in vogue and what people are really going nuts for is the kind of emo tinged, very pop sounding stuff. I'm thinking like Pierce the Veil and stuff like
Alexandria,
that. Yes, Ask Alexandria is a great example. Yeah. I feel like these guys...
This is a brutal response to that. And they up the bar again and they prove the kids wrong.
Exactly. They never fall prey to their own shtick. They never kind of, fall into repeating themselves or bad habits or anything. They sidestep that potential... like clashing with an up-and-comer or trying to imitate a band that's overtaken them in popularity in that sphere. They just do them.
Yeah.
You know, and we were talking about this from the first and second albums. They're unapologetically Killswitch.
If they wanted to release a successful metalcore record, this would not have been the way I would have gone about it in 2013. And they're all the better for it.
Yeah.
This is not the marketable choice.
No. I mean, this is the...
And I applaud them for it.
Yeah, we're hearing the first track right now, the Hell in Me, and it starts with fucking blast beats.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
When synth-laden choruses and stuff are in vogue, they come out with blast beats.
Yeah.
And as a kind of standout in their catalogue, blast beats were not regularly implemented up to this point. It's ballsy, dude.
Definitely.
Let's see what chat thinks. Ethan says, so I skipped this album when it came out because of K-pop, but Mackie put me onto it when I joined Triple Kill, as In Due Time was his favourite track. What an album this was. Blown away with how well it came out. Reminded me of the love I have for this band. It's power and toughness. Jesse did so well. S tier. Fuck yeah. We'll have to listen to this album, Kid Who says. Haven't heard anything from it before.
Fair, I mean, I hadn't either, and I was...
Yeah, highly recommend.
Quite surprised.
The guy says, moment in the sun, quotes, I heard modem in the sun and now I can't start laughing at how far on a scale of greatness these things are. Well,
You're
you've
welcome,
got you've got the second self-titled album, and you've got a modem in the sun. They're polar opposites, guy. Let's have a look here. Metalcore is definitely on the up again. It's just developed a more theatrical approach.
They dropped the theatrics here for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Ethan says,
although the cover may deceive you into
Asking Alexandria was 2009's big hitters, so I don't know what 2013 would have been popularity of metalcore. Yeah, it's such a fractured and weird thing to keep track of. It's very easy to lose.
Yeah.
Jack says 2013 was when a lot of the quintessential emo bands started changing their sound to be more pop. I can't really think of any metalcore bands from that period. 2013 was Sempiternal. That was metalcore for the time.
Okay. Yeah, they're going to bring me.
Oh, my God. Yeah, of course. Yeah. When Can You Feel My Heart and the title track Sempiternal, Shadow Moses. That's hip. That's not just hip. That's like world-shattering. Yeah. Modern metalcore at the time.
They take a left turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah, they took a left turn at Albuquerque, and I'm fucking right there with them, dude. Love it. All right, moving on. Incarnate. How far down the line do we get here? This is 2016.
Yes.
So a few years go by, and they come back with Incarnate. So this is a funny one. I think, again, were I ranking these based on the criteria that we usually look at, would probably sit a little higher than this. But I slot this in at a B.
Okay.
And kind of looking at that and looking at the track list and thinking on it, I think I would rank that B regardless of criteria. I feel like that sits nicely at a B for me, because this album, I think, sees them not necessarily trying anything like hugely new or changing up the Killswitch sound or formula, but they do play with more kind of slower, lower tempo tracks and some kind of moodier passages. I mean, track 3 is Cut Me Loose, and where the last album does not let up until Always, which is the second last track, we get to the third track and we've got this kind of strange Tom-focused chuggathon. And we get more of that. I think Just Let Go is kind of similar. It Falls on Me. These are all tracks that I really like, but it's a strangely paced record. I kind of appreciate the immediacy and the unrelenting nature of Disarm the Descent a little bit more. This feels as close to experimental as Killswitch get for me, and it makes for a B tier album for me, I think. But I like a lot of the fucking tracks on this B tier album, dude. Hate by Design's a great first single. Strength of the Mind, again, it's that stuff to reaffirm yourself. Just Let Go, Embrace the Journey Appraised, Quiet Distress. Oh my god, just wonderful. I do feel like the album kind of ends on a bit of a not as strong a note as the last couple of albums have, not counting the self-titled effort, but Reject Yourself, best album closer. I feel like
cool.
Time Will Not Remain has this sense of finality and this kind of grand, sweeping, like closing quality to it. I go, yes, all right, that's the end of the album. Let's spin that again. Ascension kind of comes in and ends in a way I'm like, oh, we're done? Oh, okay, all right, bye. Okay. I suppose I could listen to that again, or I could just listen to Disarm the Descent again. I'm going to listen to Disarm the Descent again. Yeah. So some really great material on here, and some Until the Day in particular, some fucking wonderful lead melodies, guitar melodies over choruses and stuff that just like makes your heart sore, dude. It almost veers into like anime opening territory, and it's fucking awesome. Jesse's vocals are better than ever on this album. But yeah. I
have so little to say.
That's a B tier review for a B tier album.
I have so little to say on this record, in all honesty. I spun this a bunch of times, and I could not get any of this record in my head. I don't know what it is, if it's a matter of the classic TDF fatigue, once you get a certain amount of albums into a catalogue, and if they haven't evolved their sound much in the last few, you start going, well, I've got to pick and choose between the last few, and I'm going to choose the best of them. And Disarm the Descent is the better of these last two records, easily. They are... the intensity in Disarm the Descent is so exciting compared to the 53 minutes that this album sits at. 53
minutes is the special edition.
The special?
The last track is Ascension.
That
the bonus
helps.
Tracks are only take up like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's still 45 minutes. It's still on the longer side of their discography, and it feels like it.
Yeah, it does. It's a very slow 45. And it's a drawn-out B for me.
Yeah. There's some real glowing
I
cuts
feel
on here.
that I certainly haven't accessed what I like out of this album yet, and I haven't found what makes this album shine and what is defining in this record.
Yeah, okay.
Just the nature of flash listens, you can't always get your hooks in. And this album is snake-like. It's evaded me.
Yeah.
That being said, so much of their catalogue has hit very hard. And not a bad record, just there are other albums that are more readily accessible and want to be listened to. They demand my attention.
That's a great way of putting it.
And I feel this is possibly their most passive listen to date.
I think with some extra time, I'm certain there are tracks on here that you'll hear and go, oh, that's really fucking cool. But I think I've had enough time with this album to find those tracks, and find those tracks compelling enough to listen to this whole album every now and then. I won't skim through when I'm here sitting down for a listen. Yeah. But yeah, it's still,
for me, this is where the singularities meeting up.
Ah, okay.
But hey, if it happens in 2016, that's a pretty good run.
That's a fucking great run.
That's an amazing run.
Ridiculous.
Dodging 2009's self-titled effort. Yeah. Because they can't all be zingers.
No.
this feels like a respectable release. It's a really nice record to have on the background, but elusive.
Yeah, sure. Ethan says, this one was definitely a B for me. Okay album, couple of good hits, but nothing explosive. That's fair enough. And Kiddu says, simping is eternal. Bring the Horizon predicted simping. I think you're right. I gotta say. All right, shall we move on?
Yes, to the release.
Yeah, last release at time of recording. Thank fuck they didn't put out another album. They didn't do a fucking Trivium. Atonement. What was this, 2019? The last few, 2019. Last few years have gone by in a way that I don't know anymore.
How was this 3 years ago?
Yeah, I know, man. Scream. I know. Oh God.
I am broken too, dude.
It's been a good 3 years with this album, dude. This sits at an A for me.
Nice.
You see that now. You might be thinking, Atonement. What do you got to atone for? The last album wasn't that bad. Shit, man. Atonement, really? That seems a bit dramatic. You know what they're atoning for? They're atoning for the big cats that occupy the animal kingdom, that occupy that section of the zoo that we all like, with the cats that you can't pat. Look, they got a lion on the front cover, and he looks cool, and he's doing shit.
You're not going to tug that one's cock.
No, you're not going to tug that one's cock, exactly. But you will want to tug all of their cocks when you hear this album. There's a box quote.
That's the tune's guarantee.
That's a box quote for you, boys. When the first single, Unleashed, came out, I was a little bit like, ooh, where are we going with this? Because, again, the last record, Incarnate, had kind of a slower, moodier bent, and I wanted Disarm the Descent again. And Unleashed is the first track on the album, but it is a kind of a mid-paced kind of chugging, lurching track. It's nowhere near as, it's not coming out of the gate with blast beats. But then we get that track list coming out, and we see that this is this is your Avengers level, like, end game. This is an event album, dude. You got cameos from fucking Howard Jones, Atonement. The fucking last album with a cat on the cover had Howard Jones and just sucked ass. Yeah. This one has a cat on it. It's got Hojo, and it's fucking awesome. Oh. It's all interconnected.
Oh my god, that video clip.
Oh my god,
I wept.
When you see that chrome dome. Oh my god.
I wept, and I didn't even know the Discog. When I watch it back now, it's going to be Big Baby Hours.
Yeah, Big Baby Hours. I can't wait. And you mentioned thrash earlier. You mentioned Testament.
I did mention Testament.
We got Chuck Billy, dude. Chuck Billy on the Crownless King, and holy fuck, dude. Yeah. It's really it's interesting hearing that track and hearing just how. These guys have kind of moved with the times and stuff in terms of modern metalcore. Testament in recent years have put out some really fucking good modern thrash albums, and not in like an Exodus modern thrash album way where it's like, oh, this is this legacy thrash band.
Where it's still just a throwback.
Still exists.
Remember 80s thrash?
Yeah, exactly. This is like thrash with that's moving with the times in terms of production and stuff, I don't know, a groovier sensibility, and hearing Chuck Billy on this track. When Chuck Billy's singing, it could be a modern Testament track. When Jesse's singing, it's a modern Killswitch track. It's cool. I Am Broken 2 was the second single that came out, and again at time.
Oh god, it got memed on so fucking hard. Far harder than it deserves.
Well, because the track name, it sounds a little. It's almost,
a hashtag title.
Yeah, it is. It's a me too. It's like that sincerity kind of.
Corporate sincerity.
Yeah. It almost reaches like a critical mass.
Yeah.
Where you go, oh, okay, Jesse, reel it back.
Yeah.
But I grew to really love the song.
I did as well.
And part of that, again, was the music video. The music video really sold me on it.
That aspect
I watched
ratio.
it and I was like, yeah, nah. And then the way it ended, I was like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Got me, and I was like, all right. Yeah. You elicited tears. You milked me like a tear cow. You got me. I don't think there's a weak track on this album, dude. It's similar to Disarm the Descent for me in terms of just overall enjoyment. But I think it still sits at an A. I don't know. At this point, like, I listen to this album, I'm like, I'm identifying Killswitch. It's just, this is Killswitch. They're doing them. I don't know where they're going to go from here. I don't know if they would want to shake things up or try for something more wide-reaching. I think they're just making shit for them and for their fans. Yeah.
This is a fairly broad album, where it goes. It has some very simple but emotional tracks, as I Am Broken 2. Pretty much the whole thing's in 7/8. Signal Fire is straight banger feel. Very
And
like
in and
4
out,
to the
dude.
floor
3
to
minutes.
like 16th.
Yeah.
Like real American. The American Dream on
dude.
that one.
You mentioned like bluesy kind of riffage earlier. Know Your Enemy is big swinging Texan balls on that one.
Yes, absolutely it is. It's a real delight of an album. Love Atonement. And it's Atonement is an A. Match you on that one.
Yeah, beautiful.
Where do they go from here? I've got no idea. I think it's remarkable that they managed to put out something that this late in their career that I would thought elicit a ranking this high, considering they haven't changed their formula all that much. They're just writing really good material, working with really good people, and continuing to at least keep the throne warm.
And they're doing so
when they're around, you know.
And they're doing so with a real sense of fun and vitality.
Yes.
It doesn't sound like they're bored. Like on
they're not
the
taking things too somber and too serious. For the most part.
I mean, like, I Can't Be the Only One, track 10. Holy fuck! I mentioned anime opening before. Listen to that fucking song and tell me you don't want to run to the bus with toast in your mouth.
A lot of this feels like it would be great for the gym.
Big riffs for big lifts.
Out of curiosity, how much of this album is on your soundtrack to Swole?
1, 2, 3 tracks from this album. But I've got a lot more Killswitch in there. Bite the Hand That Feeds is a fucking excellent closer as well. I will say that rivals Reject Yourself and or it certainly rivals Time Will Not Remain from Disarm the Descent for me. I think this is about as good as I could possibly hope from Killswitch 20 years into their career. Which is a celebration for me. Absolutely.
But I think this has potential to pivot into an S for me. I really like it that much.
Cool.
It's one of my favorite records by them. And at this point in time, it likely is due to familiarity. Because I've been on the ground floor for all of these releases and paying more attention to Killswitch. Before this, I'd say this is probably my ground floor record. Cool. It's a shame it's the last one. For now, you know. But that's been such a wonderful journey going through this listing. And although there are a few B's and a C here, this is, as I said earlier, possibly the most competent discography that we've hit thus far. In a sense of this is how I list as my bias, but if I was trying to be less nitpicking and biased, it would likely be all A's and S's.
Cool.
Part one. Remarkable discog.
Beautiful. And I think just something I thought was cool that happened around the release of this album, which didn't come to fruition because of COVID and stuff. But Killswitch was set to. Well, I don't know if they did get any of these dates in. But Killswitch were set to tour with Iron Maiden, which I thought was so fucking cool.
That's sick.
Like, amazing. Yeah. To think. I mean, it's great on both parts of the bands. Like to think that Iron Maiden is taking a younger band, but certainly a band with a sound that's not steeped in new album worship, or at least not in a way that their core fan base is going to be, getting excited for. I think it's really cool. To
absolutely, I'd say at this point, you would easily call Killswitch a legacy act, but they're fighting relevancy in my mind.
I don't think they are fighting for relevancy. I don't know if they're. I think if they are a legacy act, they're like, yeah, we're a legacy act. Check out this riff.
Yeah.
Just like,
they're wearing
fuck.
it. Yeah,
they're
wearing
proud of
it
it.
very elegantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Far more elegantly than they have any right to.
That's a really, really good way of putting it. Yep. All right, well, let's have a look. Time to tug some cocks. Yeah, Joe, dude.
Let's go, Joe.
Eden says, Iron Broken
That's
2
that.
got memed too hard, so it's an A for me. That aside, Signifier could carry this entire album. It's worth listening to this album just to hear that track and then just bask in the afterglow of that track for the next 11.
This is one of my favourite front halves of an album as well. A lot of my interest in Killswitch's discography comes from the back half of their albums.
Yep.
That's just where I find they're more engaging. This has got it all the way through. It's great.
Yeah. Let's have a look here. Chrome Dome. Yeah, dude, the Chrome Dome. We love it. Well, fire references, I see. Yes, but it feels appropriate.
And it's the song with Howard Jones,
of course. With Howard Joe.
Of course he's going to have a fire.
Yeah, it's like serendipitous track.
Yes.
We got a lot of cow references after the Tear Cow comment. I don't regret it. And Lucas says, Elrazen says, that vocal melody in Unleashed made me think this was Killswitch covering Call Me by Blondie.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah, man. It's because Maiden need to bring in a new audience. Their fans are dying off, literally.
Well, they should have picked a younger band.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, chat, we need to get the poll going and get an idea of who fucking won this shit. Let's have a look. Oh, it's been a while. Let's have a look here.
Just one more week, chat. Just one more week, please. Please.
Connor or
do it for Hojo.
Luke. Oh, there
Pray
he
for
is.
Hojo.
Oh.
The straight eighths.
Yeah, dude. Wonderful.
So the stank face cannot be contained.
Poll's going for 2 minutes. Yeah,
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's bringing that in with the halftime beat underneath after having.
For those playing at home on YouTube, we do during recording live on Twitch TV at Tunes TV. Have the album's tracks playing while we do film this, so adds an extra element for you.
Yeah.
If you want to join in, have the extra element of engagement, please do.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday at 8
you might
PM
not understand.
AEDT.
You might not understand our rankings based on Monkey Brain alone. If you're not Monkey Braining along with us, if you feel alienated by this VOD, consider tuning in. You know. Join us. Gooble gobble, gooble gobble.
One of us.
Pray for Hojo. I like Connor's list because there's a D in it, and I love D's in things. Well, that's good, Gus. No, that's good.
I love that.
Well,
you know how to get the
kids
Gus
can
vote.
call you Hojo. That's nice. Vote.
Get him in, gang. Get him in. And thank you so much for hanging with us on the first TDF back of the year. I hope you enjoyed, preemptively. Actually, I'll save that for if I win or not.
Yeah,
maybe fuck you. We'll see. That's how I get my votes.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to funny vote. If you have no understanding of this discography, or you're in a position where you're like, I've heard 1 or 2 albums, I'm really not, qualified to vote.
Yeah, but
please. That doesn't stop me for voting in federal elections.
Who made the stupider analogy?
Yeah. Yeah, you voting for Tear Cow or cock tugging? Wait, were those both mine?
No, I was definitely.
You were cock tugging? All right, good. I only funny vote. All right, it's coming down to the wire.
That's it.
I'm excited. I had a peek and we were neck and neck for a second there.
Ooh.
Let's see how we go here.
Yeah, the funny votes. Come on, get me over the line, baby.
Oh, bullshit! Yeah! Fuck you!
Thanks for all your facts, Connor, and all your deep insights. Funny vote.
My monkey brain insights are wasted on you fucking people. God damn it. Well, thank you all very much for joining us for that. I'm 2 losses deep. I haven't felt like this in a while. I had that belt for a long time.
No, you haven't. Actually, considering how long it's been for the last few segments.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It's been a while.
All right. Well, how am I gonna potentially come back from this?
That's what this next band has been asking for a very long time.
Oh my god, what is it?
It's time, my dude. It's time for some machine fucking head.
Oh yes!
Let's go.
Yes! Oh my god! My god!
I feel it's right. I feel it's right.
Yeah, dude.
We've hit the trivia. We hit the kill switch. I feel like this is time to start letting the cats out of the bag.
Oh my god. Yes.
Yeah, let's let the cats out of the bag, dude. Let's go.
Oh, this is gonna be a fun one. This is gonna be a lot of fun, regardless of who wins.
Totally.
We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And if I have the most fun, then I'll consider that a victory of sorts.
Yes. So for all of whether you love them or hate them, it's Flynn time.
Oh, the Rob Flynn show.
Oh
wait.
yeah. This is going to be great.
Yeah. I'm just going to spend the whole time listening to Dope.
Albums it might be about. Oh my god, we've got a lot of history to get through, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a beefy episode.
About 10 albums in their Discog. We'll verify. Sits in that realm. So I hope you can all play along as well if you are familiar with Machine Head. The highs and lows, the heavy highs and the lofty lows of their pursuit of relevancy.
Yeah, Adam says, is it including the spoken word?
It is including the spoken word.
We'll touch on that for sure.
Yes.
Oh, dear. All right, well, hey, you can tune in and catch us on the 1st of March, Tuesday the 1st of March for that episode. Thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Anything to say?
See you in 4 months, maybe 5. Fuck you.
Bye!